What is up, boyos? It is Water Buffalo Man here, back for more Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. Alright, so we're going to be taking on the Fighting Legend FRIEZA Space Traveling Warriors mission. We're going to be using Turles' team. I mean, there is no reason not to. This team just bodies almost any stage. So we're just going to run it with this team anyway and just let it rip, pretty much. This team is fantastic. I have no issues with this team. I thoroughly enjoy using this team. I've always been a avid Turles enjoyer. As those of you that have been around the channel for a little while know, I do enjoy the Turles team. So we're going to keep running this said team whenever there's a Space Traveling Warriors mission involved. Because this man, I have a lot of faith in this man. He does hit really hard, and once his defense gets up there after a few after a few supers, his defense sits roughly around 1 million with like 20% damage reduction. And against a stage like this, that's really easy. And then the Great Ape Turles, or Giant Ape Turles technically, that you see in slot 2, can hit pretty hard himself, to be honest. And he actually fits really well on this team, so I can't really complain at all about having him here. And most of the time I get a double super like that from him every chance anyway, so I'm not going to complain at all about this man coming out here and doing work for us. And I put a little bit of dodge into him too. I'm hoping, my big thing was I was hoping this friend unit was going to get the chance to attack at least once to start building up that defense, and he actually is going to, which is kind of nice. So, alright, we're going into turn 2 now, stage 2, which is the Extreme Fizz. We're actually going to do something kind of a little dumb here, but it's going to hopefully pay off down the line. We're going to be running the Amand and Raisin in slot 1 just to let them get hit a little bit. And then we're going to be running the Team Turles in slot 2 and the Cacao, and, well, Super Attack hits everybody anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. Yeah, let them build up their defense. Those guys have a high chance to dodge because of the team they're on, or a medium chance to dodge. But the reason I put these two in slot 1 is when they're in slot 1, they have a guaranteed guard, and their attack and defense actually goes up when they're hit. So I wanted to let them build that up just a little bit this turn. So that kind of actually worked out pretty well. And they raised their defense for 1 turn on their super. And their support unit as well. So it kind of helps out. And then Team Turles in slot 2 is a support unit as well. So 22 million. They're not even linked up with their best partner yet, and they're easily sitting at over 20 mil. I mean, this unit is just completely busted. I have not showcased them because I haven't used them much other than out of a couple tests on my own. I enjoy using them. What we are going to do here is rotate this like this, because we're going to try to get that Turles on par with my Turles as a rotational unit, because he is just a straight up support unit for this team. That's what I use him for. Because I see absolutely no point in using him as a slot 2 unit, because he can't do anything as a slot 2 unit because he can't link with himself technically, since they do share the same name. I'm sorry, they share the exact same name of Turles, so there's no point. So that way I can put him in slot 3 and he still kind of helps as a support unit, key 3 and 40% to all types. So he really does help out, and he kind of raises his attack and defense on his super for 1 turn, which is, I mean, good enough to the point where he's actually helpful a little bit. Could he take on some of the difficult content? No way, not at all. But he could fit along this team pretty well, and it's not a terrible, terrible problem. Now, this is where things become a little, I was hoping I would have been able to get at least 1 more turn of Amand and Raisin in slot 1, because they only took 2 hits, so that means they gained 30%. So, I mean, kind of not terrible. Oh, and also, I forgot to say they get damage reduction of 20% in slot 1. But I could also end up next turn putting them in slot 1 with the Turleses as well. So there's a couple different options. I could rotate them around too. Perfect, you're supering one of the better guys on the team. He's building up his damage reduction. He's got some defense, and you have type disadvantage to him, so that's kind of perfect. And he gets the support from both the Team Turles and the Amand and Raisin, so he's just going to be insanely powerful overall. And the Team Turles has 50% damage reduction. So, okay, they might not even get the chance to attack. So, perfect. Cool. You do not want to put the Team Turles in slot 1. They are not a slot 1 unit. With the damage reduction, I mean, yeah, they could. Come on, Turles. Let Team Turles attack. Let's showcase them a little bit. But apparently not. Turles just wants to go off, which is fine. Let him build up his stats. That's cool. That's great. That's better for later on for us. So in slot 3, those guys super a lot. We're going to keep you slot 1 because mine should be built up a little bit. Yeah, he's sitting at 620k defense. He gets an additional 40% defense with each super attack launched. I think he's only launched like 2 or 3 up to this point. So realistically, he could still launch quite a bit more. So we're just going to leave him as that. And 600k is still pretty good, and he gets a 4% damage reduction, if I remember right, up to 20% with each attack performed as well. Super attack, that is. And he raises his attack on his super, so that's kind of nice. So there's a double super. I think he should be getting close to his max defense, which is fine. That is perfectly okay to let him get closer and closer to that max defensive number. Because if he's sitting around 800,000, that's still pretty solid, honestly. I can't really complain about that. And Daz and Cacao at the end of the rotation need to super attack because they get stronger with each super attack performed, and I can't have them being a weak link at the end of their lineup going into the latter stages of this fight. This Turles does not have high defense, but he can take a couple hits if need be, so I'm not too worried, and like I said, I did give him a little bit of dodge. These guys need to super to build up their stats. That's completely and utterly a fact that they need to do. And this will be their first super attack. Perfect. They raise their attack for 1 turn as well on their super, so if they super 2 or 3 times in a turn, their attack stat's going to be decently high. Not great, but a 4 milli super, it's not terrible for a side banner unit, to be honest. And they have that chance to dodge and a decently high chance to crit. We're not going to actually activate anything here, but as you saw right there, this is the friend one that hasn't done a whole lot. He's got 932,000 defense in slot 1. That's pretty perfect. Granted, there is the Team Turles here with 50% to attack and defense. So yeah, that kind of does help, and he gives allies key plus 3 and 40% to attack. But there is no superclass enemy, so technically he is not giving any defense to anybody. But the Fizz Turles does have almost a million defense right now in turn 1, which is perfectly fine. Because he's got a guaranteed link partner, Big Bad Bosses, pretty much his whole link set is active except for, I think, 1 link. Which is honestly fine. Let him just keep going. 12 milli, constant 12 milli, which is good. And he's going to keep raising his attack stat because on his super, he just straight up raises attack. And he also heals by 7%, if I remember right. Alright, 13 million now. So Turles is just completely bodying the stage. He's just doing all of the work himself. Not leaving anything for the rest of the team. Which is fine. I'm perfectly okay with that. But we're actually probably going to do this here as a rotation. I don't know how I feel about that. No, we're going to go you there. I do not feel comfortable leaving you guys in slot 1 with like no defense at all. Granted, 322,000 is good. Guards all attacks as the first attacker. Plus additional 50, plus additional 30% of the never guard is activated. Yeah, see, they do launch an additional super as a second or third attacker in the turn, so they will be raising their defense twice. So I kind of feel a little more comfortable with them doing that versus being in slot 1. I would rather let the Turles just eat it. They are a support unit, so I feel a little more comfortable with them being there versus being in slot 1. I could have put them in slot 1 and let them build up a little more. They probably would have been fine, more or less. But if they would have gotten supered, it most likely would have done us in. And we would have had to run this again. My Turles now has officially crossed the 10 million attack stat, which is really nice. So now we've got 2 units easily hitting 10 million as the leaders. Okay, perfect. And then the Team Turles we know can hit 22 plus million. He was hitting 32, I think, for me the other day when I was using him. But we haven't gotten a chance to get there yet because perfect. Let's see what kind of damage he takes here. I don't think he'll take anything because he's sitting at almost a million defense with a 20% damage reduction. Yeah, absolutely nothing. And then this Turles just hits that cheeky 7 milli right there. Not bad at all. Not a lot, but it's just extra damage. And he gives me that grade 8 chance to give me a few free turns. That's kind of the main reason I run them. And then these guys at the end of the rotation, they raise their defense, like I said, on their super, and they're guaranteed 2 supers as a second or third attacker, so that's kind of nice. And since it's raising defense alone, that means it's a guaranteed 30% defense raise, which 30% of 300,000 is, I think, like 90,000 or something like that. So it'd be for the 1 turn, so that's kind of nice. So that'll really build up their defense a bit. And I built them with additional so they could launch 3 supers. So that's kind of perfect as well. And they're a support unit as well. So that's even better. So that gives them really high defense in slot 3. Alright, okay, so we're going to go like this. Probably not going to get the chance to attack because Turles wants to do everything in slot 1 with his 932,000 defense. That's kind of fine though as well. Yeah, Dokkan mode, we're definitely not getting the chance to attack. Cool, but kind of hoping I wouldn't have gotten the Dokkan mode this turn, so I would have gotten it next turn and just had a clean sweep, but it is what it is. We do have a pretty good rotation, next rotation coming up. If we could get the Tree of Might Turles to transform, that would be great. Having the Tree of Might Turles, the Fruit of the Tree of Might Turles, I'm sorry, plus the Fizz Turles, plus the Giant Ape Turles all in 1 turn could be a powerhouse rotation. If we had Team Turles, it would have been better, but it is what it is. This should one-shot him, which it did. We did not get the transformation. That kind of does blow a little bit. What do you do again? Causes ultimate damage. We'll activate that really quick, because why not?
You know what this is? Oh no. Burst open and mix! Now, let me see your true form.
Jeez. Okay, chill. Alright, so he's sitting at 4.6 million pre-super. He's only sitting at about 733,000 defense, which is not great per se, but he will be fine. And the Turles at the end, I feel like, will be just a-okay. As long as we get supered in slot 1, we'll be better. So I'm not too kind on that Turles. Yep, there it is. Perfect, perfect, perfect. There's just the man we want. Super 20% damage reduction, almost 800k defense. That's fine. This is going to do about nothing. Yep. 11 million from you. If we could get, say, 2 supers from this Turles, this should be almost enough to wipe this guy out. Type advantage. With the super attack raising, there it is. Yeah, this should be it. Maybe this super, if not, the next 2 Turles will do it. It shouldn't go much beyond this point. No? Oh, okay, hang on. I didn't specify which Turles. I did say a Turles. But I feel like that should have been enough there. But I also didn't build mine with crits too much, which is probably my fault. I built him more for additionals because I like the ability to stack his attack fast and raise his defense on his super. And Giant Ape Turles is going to be the one to do it, huh? No, he's not. Okay, it's going to be normal Turles. It's going to be the original Turles. One of the original Turles that does it for us. But there you guys have it. That is how you beat the Fighting Legend Frieza with a Space Traveling Warriors team. Not difficult at all. Neither one of those were. Really easy, straightforward, 15 stones. You get a couple of tickets in there too, I think. I'm not entirely sure. Do we get tickets from that? We don't, actually. We just get free stones. But there you guys have it. That is done and over with. All the Frieza missions are done. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys back here for more Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. See you guys then.